Now, if you're like me, there's something you don't spend nearly enough time thinking about. Everything. Hold on, hear me out. How often do you consider what a miracle everything is? Our bodies, nature, sunlight, music, love, everything. If you don't, I think I know why. Being confronted with the everythingness of everything can kind of be a lot. It's like staring up at the Milky Way galaxy. Now, the German theologian Rudolf Otto called this the Numinous. It's an awe-inspiring experience that's equal parts fear and fascination. This idea even inspired C.S. Lewis in his famous book, The Problem of Pain. And I bet you can relate too, because we all have memories of confronting the numinous. And this kind of awe is available anytime, if we just look. So why don't we look more often? Well, one reason is because it's a lot to think about while doing the dishes. But another reason is how we've been taught to view the world, as an infinitely old collection of accidents. And in this video, I'll show you that view, which is older than any of us, and hopefully leave you with a new appreciation for everything. Ambitious? Maybe. Let's see. Hello, I'm Will Spencer, the host of the Will Spencer podcast. I spent 20 years in the New Age, exploring religions around the world before coming home to Christ. Now I interview authors, thought leaders, and influencers who help us understand our changing world. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Will Spencer Podcast, for more. Okay, so hundreds of years ago, people lived with the idea of the numinous daily. They saw creation as a miracle, and humans as made in a divine image with divine origins and destiny. The numinous, from the Latin numen or divine will, was a part of their everyday existence. Then, in the 1700s, the Enlightenment shifted society from theological explanations to scientific ones. Now, there's nothing wrong with science. I like science. Some of my best friends are scientists. The problem comes when science touches on questions of origin, meaning, and purpose. Where did we come from? Why do we exist? These things can't be measured or experimentally verified. But in the Enlightenment, science began to forget its limits and tried to explain everything. And these efforts culminated in the idea of Darwinian evolution. In a previous video, I talked about how Darwinian evolution is not a theory, but a theology, because it touches on questions of human origin, meaning, and purpose through its explanation of why we exist. Darwinian macroevolution claims that over vast spans of time, DNA mutations combine to produce the variety of life forms we see all around us, all the way up to the massively complex human body. The big idea is that if you take billions of years and trillions of opportunities, eventually humans will be produced. In other words, we're an accident. Our existence could easily not have happened, and yet it did, but only after rolling the dice infinity times. But when you look up at the night sky or at the smile of a newborn baby, do you think that's an accident? Huh, nice. Happened by chance? Probably not. So there's a conflict here. Who's right? Darwin or our internal sense? Well, to help answer that question, I'd like to discuss three big aspects of reality. Three giant pieces of everything that I think testify there's much more going on than random chance. And seeing them, I'll let you decide whether that sense of the numinous, of the divine mystery, is pointing to something real. So we're going to start very small and work our way out. And the three aspects of reality are, first, life is built on programming. Second, the universe is fine-tuned. And third, the cosmos has a beginning. First things first, let's talk about life being built on programming. This refers to DNA, the building blocks of life. And think of DNA like a computer code, but way more advanced than anything we've created. Computer code uses just ones and zeros, but DNA is better. It uses 4 building blocks called nucleotides: A, T, G, and C. These pair up in a special way. A always goes with T, and G always goes with C. In every strand of DNA, these pairs form a pattern that's like 2 threads of code woven together 3 billion times. If you stretched out the DNA from just one of your cells, it would be 6 feet long, and you have this in every cell of your body. Now, many famous scientists and computer experts are amazed by this, and here's a clip from the Discovery Science Institute with just a few of them.
There are programmed instructions in DNA, just like in computer code and software. Some of the world's smartest, most eggiest of eggheads agree that DNA is like a computer program, but far, far more advanced than any software ever created. The machine code of the genes is uncannily computer-like. DNA is something like the hard drive on your computer, containing programming. Life is a DNA software system containing digital information or digital code. From Bill Gates to Richard Dawkins, Francis Collins, and Craig Venter, they all agree DNA is a code.
Now here's the thing. Could this system really have happened by accident? How could plain old atoms like carbon and oxygen have just randomly formed the code that makes life possible? Now some say natural selection explains how this happened gradually, but there's a problem. Natural selection only works on things that already exist. It can't create the code itself. That's like saying a library organized itself because some books were more popular than others. Also, DNA doesn't directly make life. It contains instructions for making proteins that build our bodies. Things like hemoglobin in your blood and collagen in your skin. Now, scientists ran computer simulations to see if random changes could create even one working protein. The odds? 1 in 10 followed by 77 zeros.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Sorry, Lloyd. No, I'm not. The math just doesn't work. So when you look at DNA, does it make more sense that this amazing code wrote itself by accident or that it had a programmer? What does your gut tell you? Now let's look at the second aspect of reality, that the universe is fine-tuned. Now sometimes I take life for granted. There's just so much of it. Jungles, flowers, whales, even sugar gliders. Look at that little guy. Now, it's easy to think life just happens naturally, but creating the right conditions for life is tricky. All the evidence points to just one conclusion. The universe seems perfectly set up to allow life to exist. Scientists call this the anthropic principle, from the Greek word for human. The idea is simple. The universe looks designed with life as the goal. Now think about it this way. The Darwinian view says DNA just happened by chance. Roll the dice enough times, you'll eventually get lucky. The anthropic principle says something different. It says DNA was the goal all along. The universe has over 30 physical laws and constants that are precisely set to make life possible. One example is the speed of light, or c in Einstein's famous E=mc² formula. Another is gravity, or g. If gravity were just a little stronger, stars would burn out too quickly for life to develop. If it were just a little weaker, stars wouldn't form at all. And here on Earth, if gravity were stronger, everything would weigh too much. Whales couldn't exist. Bro, sugar gliders couldn't even glide. And gravity is just one example. There are more than 24 other constants that control everything from atoms to the energy in empty space. Change any of them just a tiny bit, and life becomes impossible. So think about this. What are the odds of getting a universe with all these settings just right by accident? That's like winning the lottery, then winning it again. Even some famous scientists have trouble believing this is all random chance. The astronomer Sir Fred Hoyle, who founded Cambridge's Institute of Theoretical Astronomy, said, quote, "A common sense interpretation of the facts suggests that a super intellect has monkeyed with physics." End quote. Notice what he called it. A common sense interpretation. And that's my point about how Darwinian ideas have changed how we see the world. We've been taught that this perfectly designed universe is just a lucky accident, followed by life as another lucky accident. But when you look at the stars, does that feel like an accident? Or when you think about your own life, do you feel like you're just a cosmic fluke? Or do you sense deep down that your existence has purpose? What does your common sense tell you? Okay, one last piece to go. We've seen how DNA is like amazing programming and how the universe has all its settings perfectly tuned for life. Programs need programmers. Fine-tuned settings need someone to set them. Both point to a time before time when our universe was planned and set in motion. Now, many ancient cultures believed that the cosmos was eternal, that everything had just always been here. But in the 20th century, scientists made discoveries that changed everything. And here are two big ones. First, in the 1920s, Edwin Hubble discovered that everything in the universe is moving away from everything else. Then, in 1965, two scientists named Penzias and Wilson discovered the cosmic background radiation coming from all directions in space. This pointed to a very hot, dense beginning of the universe. Now here's a riddle for you. What has a hot, dense beginning, after which everything moves quickly away from each other? Give up? An explosion. And these discoveries led to the Big Bang Theory, now the most widely accepted explanation for how the universe began. The idea is that the entire universe, including space itself, exploded from an infinitely small point into the universe we see today. But here's the question. If the universe has a beginning, something must have caused it. This is basic cause and effect. Every explosion we've ever seen has a cause: dynamite, gunpowder, or chemicals. None just happen on their own. So why would we think that the biggest explosion ever, the beginning of the entire universe, had no cause? Now, how do evolutionists explain this? With the multiverse theory, which you might know from science fiction and Marvel movies. The idea? There are countless universes out there, some steady state, some with big bangs. We just happen to be in a Big Bang universe with all the right settings. Now, if you ask me, multiverses make for mediocre storytelling because Endgame wasn't nearly as good as Infinity War.
Impossible.
But it's even worse science. It's just another way of saying it happened by chance. Or like, if you roll enough dice, they'll not only land on the right numbers, but then get up and start rolling themselves. The multiverse idea doesn't solve the problem. It just pushes it back one level, needing even more impossible accidents. We're supposedly in one universe out of countless others, with settings tweaked just right for the perfect conditions for DNA to form and make humans. And that's what I mean by accidents stacked on accidents stacked on accidents. And that is the best explanation science has for why we're here. 300 years after the Enlightenment and 150 years after Darwin, that's the best they've got. So what we're seeing is a triple-layer design pattern in our reality. Coded information at the tiny cellular level, perfect settings at the universal level, and a purposeful beginning at the cosmic level. And these aren't three separate things, they're three parts of the same picture that fit together. The same designer who programmed DNA also fine-tuned the universe and set off the cosmic beginning. But okay, let's go with evolution's idea of cosmic accidents for a moment. What does it also tell us about ourselves? That we too are accidents, that our bodies, nature, sunlight, music, love, everything is just accidental. And accidents don't have meaning, they're just things that happened with no more importance than if they hadn't happened at all. This view has been forced on us for generations. It's why we rarely think about the Numinous. But you don't need to travel to the dark countryside to see the Milky Way to connect with this. You can think about the DNA code working inside your cells right now. You're sitting comfortably because gravity is perfectly set. Meanwhile, galaxies are racing away from you as background radiation whispers about the beginning of time. You might only have a few moments in your life where you've really thought about these things, but there was a time when people lived with this awareness every day, and they had a different story about everything that goes something like this. An intelligent and loving creator designed our universe, setting everything perfectly. This creator started the universe from nothing, wanting to create life that would know where it came from. Then, much later in that story, you arrived, with your unique DNA code whose only purpose is to make you. So the Numinous isn't just out there in the sky, it's closer to home. Because the Numinous is you, and me too. We are not cosmic accidents that come from other cosmic accidents. We and our lives have as much purpose as the cosmos itself, and that's true whether we're washing dishes or looking up at the stars from a mountaintop. It was true yesterday and today, and will be true tomorrow. It was true before time began, and will be true at the end of time and into eternity. You can carry this knowledge with you every day if you want to. Even the smallest things in life can have the greatest meaning. All you need to do is choose it and believe, rejecting the idea of cosmic accidents for something much more wonderful. And if you do, like I have, you'll gain a much deeper appreciation for everything. And to me, that's something worth thinking about. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share with friends. For more content like this, subscribe to the channel or follow me on X. I'd like to hear about your experiences with the Numinous in the comments. When was the last time you felt that sense of awe and wonder? Share your story. It might help someone else recognize the Numinous in their life too. Until next time, friends.